Across Europe's cobblestone streets and forgotten ruins, whispers of the past still linger. Ancient towns, once alive with laughter, trade, and prayer, now stand cloaked in silence, haunted by tragedies too deep to fade. Locals walk quickly past shadowed alleys, some refusing even to speak the names of certain places, as if uttering them might awaken what sleeps there. From plague islands where the dying were cast away, to cursed villages where no priest dares to bless the ground, each place carries a darkness woven into its stones. Lights flicker where no electricity runs. Cold drafts curl through doorways sealed for centuries. And in the stillness, some swear they hear voices, pleading, weeping, or warning. Stay with me, because tonight we're not just naming haunted towns, we're uncovering the stories that still keep locals awake at night. By the end of this journey, you'll know why these places remain avoided, why their legends refuse to die, and why even today the bravest travelers rarely linger after sunset. But be warned, the deeper we go, the heavier the air becomes, and the harder it is to tell the living from the dead. Poveglia Island, Italy, the island of no return. At first glance, Poveglia seems like any forgotten piece of land. Overgrown weeds climbing through broken walls, a leaning bell tower marking the horizon, and waters lapping quietly against its edges. But Venetians know better. To them, this island is cursed ground, a place so tainted by death that they refuse even to speak its name at night. For centuries, plague victims were ferried here by the boatload. Many never even touched the soil alive, their bodies tossed into burning pits as smoke darkened the skies above Venice. Later, an asylum rose among the ruins, its wards echoing with screams that no physician could calm. Patients whispered of shadowy figures at their bedside, unseen hands pressing against their throats in the dark. The island remains abandoned, but not silent. Travelers who drift too near describe the clang of distant bells, though no hand pulls the rope. Windows flash with faint lights, and the air carries a chill that feels older than time itself. Sail close if you dare, but ask yourself, is it the wind that whispers your name, or something that never left those shores? Hoia Baciu Forest, Romania, the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. On the outskirts of Cluj-Napoca lies a forest unlike any other. Its trees bend at unnatural angles, twisted trunks curling as if recoiling from something unseen. Sunlight struggles to pierce the canopy, leaving the ground bathed in a perpetual gloom. To outsiders, Hoia Baciu might appear enchanting, but to locals it is a place best avoided, especially once dusk settles over Transylvania. Known as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania, the forest has a long history of strange phenomena. Villagers whisper of people who entered its depths only to vanish without a trace. Others returned days later confused and unable to recall where they had been. Photographs often reveal glowing orbs or shadowy figures, and electronics fail without warning, as if the forest itself rejects intrusion. At the heart of Hoia Baciu lies a strange clearing, perfectly circular, where no trees grow. Scientists cannot explain it, yet many believe it to be a gateway, perhaps to another realm, perhaps to something darker. Step beyond the crooked trees, and you may discover why even seasoned travelers leave quickly, glancing over their shoulders as if the forest itself is following. Oradour-sur-Glane, France, the village that time froze. In the quiet countryside of western France lies a village where clocks stopped forever on June 10, 1944. Oradour-sur-Glane stands today exactly as it was left. Charred doorways opening into hollow rooms, rusted bicycles leaning against scorched stone, sewing machines gathering dust in the open air. Every street is a scar, preserved in silence as both memorial and warning. It was here that tragedy struck when Nazi forces swept through, rounding up men, women, and children. Over 600 souls were massacred in a single day. Houses were burned, the church became a tomb, and the air itself seemed to carry the cries of those who could not escape. Now the village remains untouched, its ruins left exactly as they fell. Visitors who wander through speak of an overwhelming stillness, a sensation as though unseen eyes watch from shattered windows. Some claim to hear faint footsteps echoing on the cobblestones, though no living person follows. Oradour-sur-Glane does not need legends or ghosts to haunt. It is history itself that lingers here, whispering a question no one dares to answer. How could such horror ever fade? Pripyat, Ukraine, the city of silence. Not far from the crumbling shell of Chernobyl's reactor lies a city frozen in the spring of 1986. Pripyat was once full of life, apartment blocks humming with families, children racing through schoolyards, and laughter spilling from fairground rides. But when the reactor exploded, everything changed in a single night. Buses lined the streets to carry residents away, leaving dinners half-eaten on tables and toys scattered across bedroom floors. Today, Pripyat is a monument to absence. Ferris wheels stand rusted in an empty amusement park, their cabins swaying in the wind like pendulums marking time that no longer moves. Hospitals lie littered with gas masks, hallways echoing only with the creak of settling concrete. Nature has begun its slow reclamation, trees splitting through pavements, wild animals roaming the boulevards where people once strolled. Some who venture here speak of whispers carried on the breeze, or of faint laughter drifting from abandoned schools. Whether it is memory, imagination, or something else entirely, no one can say. Pripyat stands as both grave and warning, a place where the air itself seems to ask, what price do we pay when mankind unleashes forces it cannot control? Belchite, Spain, the ghosts of a broken town. In the arid hills of Aragon lies Belchite, a town that never recovered from the fury of the Spanish Civil War. Once a thriving community, it was reduced to rubble in 1937 when brutal fighting left the streets choked with corpses and buildings torn apart by fire and shelling. Franco ordered a new Belchite to be built nearby, but the ruins of the old town were left untouched, an open wound in the Spanish landscape. Walking through Belchite today feels like stepping into a battlefield preserved in stone. Roofless churches stretch into the sky, their bells long silent. Crumbling archways frame streets where dust and silence linger heavier than air. Locals pass by but rarely enter, believing the ruins hold on to the souls of those who perished there. Visitors report strange sensations, whispers on the wind, footsteps echoing through empty chapels, even the sound of phantom bells tolling at dusk. Historians see Belchite as a monument to war's brutality, but others feel it is something more, a place where the past has refused to die. And as night falls, one question seems to echo louder than the silence. Are you alone in Belchite, or are the dead still keeping count? Krakow, Italy, the silent sentinel on the hill. High in the hills of southern Italy stands Krakow, a medieval town whose stone towers and narrow streets once rang with life. Built on a steep cliff, it looks almost untouched by time, its ancient walls and arched walkways still clinging defiantly to the rock. But beneath its beauty lies fragility. Landslides, earthquakes, and floods forced villagers to abandon it in the 1960s, leaving behind a place that feels frozen mid-breath. Today, Krakow is deserted, yet far from forgotten. Its eerie skyline has drawn filmmakers seeking an otherworldly backdrop, but locals rarely venture near. They say the silence here is too heavy, the air too watchful. Visitors describe an unsettling stillness, windows gaping like hollow eyes, doorways leading only to shadow, and staircases that crumble into darkness. Legends claim the souls of those lost in disasters still drift through the ruins, unwilling to leave their hilltop home. Some who wander the alleys hear faint whispers or glimpse figures vanishing around corners where no one stands. Krakow may appear beautiful from a distance, but step closer and you'll find yourself wondering, is it the town that has been abandoned, or the living who have been kept away? Famagusta, Varosha, Cyprus, the city left behind. Along the sun-drenched coast of Cyprus lies Varosha, once a bustling resort district where golden beaches met lively cafes and luxury hotels. In 1974, conflict turned the area into a sealed ghost town, its streets frozen in midlife. Windows gape like empty eyes, balconies sag under the weight of decades, and abandoned cars sit rusting where tourists once parked. Today, Varosha is a place of silence and stories. Locals are forbidden to enter, and even visitors can only peer through fences, imagining the vibrant life that vanished overnight. The wind carries faint echoes of laughter, music, and conversation, as though the city itself refuses to forget its past. Some who study the district speak of an uncanny presence, a sense that the displaced still roam the streets in memory, watching over what was once theirs. Hotels remain shuttered, shops display shelves of untouched goods, and the beach waits, empty under the relentless sun. Varosha is more than abandoned. It is a pause between past and present, a question carved in concrete. What happens when a city is left to remember itself, and who, if anyone, truly remains? Pyramiden, Norway. Frozen echoes of industry. On the windswept archipelago of Svalbard lies Pyramiden, a Russian mining town abandoned in the early 1990s. Once alive with miners' voices, the hum of machinery, and the occasional laughter drifting across snow-covered streets, it now sits silent under the Arctic sky. Its apartment blocks, schools, and cultural centers remain intact, but they echo with absence, a frozen snapshot of a life abruptly halted. Walking through Pyramiden is like stepping into a time capsule. Rusted equipment juts from ice, corridors are lined with frost-covered furniture, and peeling paint hints at the warmth that once filled the walls. Wildlife roams freely through streets once busy with human activity, adding to the eerie stillness. Visitors speak of feeling watched, or of footsteps that vanish before they can turn to see the source. Shadows stretch unnaturally across deserted squares, and the cold Arctic wind carries whispers that seem almost deliberate. Pyramiden is more than abandoned. It's a town caught between survival and memory, daring anyone who enters to wonder, are the echoes of the past truly gone, or merely waiting for someone to listen? Pentadatilo, Italy, Fingers of the Forgotten. Perched on the cliffs of Calabria, Pentadatilo is a town shaped like a hand reaching toward the sky. Its name literally means 5 fingers. Founded centuries ago, it once thrived with bustling streets and lively squares, but a devastating earthquake in 1783 left much of the town in ruins. Over time, residents abandoned it, leaving behind crumbling stone houses, narrow alleys, and stairways that twist unpredictably up the hillside. Today, Pentadatilo carries an eerie beauty. Rust-colored rooftops cling precariously to jagged cliffs, shadows fill empty courtyards, and the wind whistles through broken windows like a voice from another time. Locals avoid the town at night, claiming it is haunted by spirits of those who died in both natural disasters and centuries-old feuds. Visitors report glimpses of figures slipping between buildings, footsteps echoing along empty streets, and an unsettling sensation of being watched. The legends say that some corners of the town never truly left the past behind. Pentadatilo is a place where history and mystery intertwine, daring anyone who walks its fractured streets to question whether the living are truly alone, or if the fingers of the forgotten are still reaching out. Belmez de la Moraleda, Spain, faces in the floor. In the quiet village of Belmez de la Moraleda, a single house has drawn fascination and fear for decades. Inside, ordinary concrete floors became the canvas for something extraordinary or terrifying. Faces, sometimes anguished, sometimes serene, began appearing seemingly overnight, etched into the ground with no explanation. Locals whisper that the home is haunted, and many avoid it after dark, believing the spirits behind the apparitions are still present, watching. Visitors who dare to enter speak of an unsettling atmosphere. A heavy, almost tangible energy hangs in the air. Shadows move where no one stands, and the floor itself seems alive with memory. Each face is unique, yet all seem to convey a message, a silent story that demands attention yet resists understanding. The house itself is unremarkable from the outside. Weathered stone walls, faded paint, and a modest garden, but step inside and the ordinary world slips away. Belmez de la Moraleda challenges perception, leaving those who witness its phenomena to wonder, are these faces echoes of the past, cries from the unseen, or something else entirely, waiting for the next visitor to notice? Trasmoz, Spain, the village cursed by history. Hidden in the hills of Aragon, Trasmoz is a village steeped in tales of curses, witchcraft, and defiance. Centuries ago, it was excommunicated by the church, accused of harboring witches and dark rituals. Today, the streets still carry an air of defiance and mystery, cobblestones echoing legends that refuse to die. Locals speak cautiously of curses that linger, warning visitors to respect the village or face the consequences whispered through time. Walking through Trasmoz, one encounters weathered stone houses, narrow alleys, and a castle perched above the town, its silhouette cutting sharply against the sky. Small plazas remain, where centuries of suspicion and superstition seem frozen in place. Some say shadowy figures appear near the castle at dusk, and strange symbols etched into doorways hint at secrets that have never been fully uncovered. If these chilling tales intrigue you, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the next haunted European legend. Despite, or perhaps because of its dark past, Trasmoz draws the curious. Yet every visitor senses it. This is a place where history is not dead, where old grudges linger, and where the air itself carries a warning. Step carefully, for in Trasmoz, the line between legend and reality blurs, and the next shadow may hold the answer, or the curse. Colabraro, Italy, the name you dare not speak. Nestled in the hills of Basilicata, Colabraro is a town shrouded in superstition. Locals whisper that merely saying its name aloud invites misfortune, and for generations, the town has carried the reputation of being cursed. Despite its scenic setting, stone houses clinging to rugged slopes, narrow alleys twisting unpredictably, and ancient churches rising from cobblestones, the shadow of fear lingers over every corner. Visitors often feel a tension in the air, as if the town itself is aware of their presence. Doors creak in abandoned homes, shadows shift at the edge of vision, and an unexplainable chill follows those who wander too far. Even the landscape seems to hold a secret. Olive groves and terraced fields appear tranquil by day, but at dusk, the fading light transforms them into a labyrinth of whispers and unseen eyes. Colabraro is more than a place on a map. It is a legacy of caution and mystery, daring those who visit to confront their unease. Step carefully, for here, curiosity may awaken forces that have waited for centuries, and the next echo might just answer your questions or trap you in the legend. Giamana, Romania, the village beneath the Red Lake. In the shadow of the Apuseni Mountains lies Giamana, a village swallowed by the consequences of human industry. Once home to families and laughter, it was abandoned when toxic mining waste flooded the area, turning the lake blood red and leaving ruined homes half submerged in a haunting spectacle. The water's eerie color reflects the tragic story etched into the landscape, and locals rarely venture near, wary of the lingering presence of sorrow. Walking along the edges of the lake, visitors encounter skeletal rooftops emerging from crimson waters, rusted fences, and remnants of a life abruptly halted. The air carries a strange heaviness, and the wind whispers through collapsed walls as if mourning what once was. Some say the spirits of the displaced villagers linger, bound to the ruins and the blood-colored waters that now define their resting place. Giamana is a stark reminder of tragedy frozen in time. The lake's unnatural hue, the half-submerged houses, and the silence of abandonment make it impossible to ignore the stories that seep from every corner. Approach cautiously. Here, the past is as alive as the water that conceals it, and the next step may reveal secrets best left beneath the surface. Chiajna Monastery, Romania. Ruins of Dark Whispers. On the outskirts of Bucharest, the Chiajna Monastery stands in silent decay, its crumbling walls and shattered arches hinting at centuries of secrets. Built in the 18th century, this once sacred place is now cloaked in legends of curses, ghostly apparitions, and unexplained misfortune. Locals steer clear after dusk, wary of the shadows that seem to linger where prayers once echoed. The monastery's ruinous state adds to its eerie presence. Moss-covered stones, toppled columns, and broken windows create a labyrinth of shadow and silence. Visitors often report sudden chills, the echo of footsteps where no one walks, and glimpses of figures vanishing into the ruin. Some claim that those who venture too close are touched by a sense of unease that refuses to lift, as if the very air carries warnings from the past. Chiajna Monastery is more than a relic. It is a place where history and superstition converge. Every ruined corner tells a story, and every gust of wind through the broken walls seems to whisper of secrets left unspoken. Step carefully, for here, the past is restless, and the next shadow may reveal a tale you weren't prepared to hear. Sibiu, Romania, a village of shadows and folklore. Tucked in the rolling hills of Sibiu County, Sibiu is a village where legends of vampires and dark spirits have been preserved through generations. Cobbled streets wind past traditional wooden houses, and every doorway seems to guard a story whispered long ago. Locals still perform ancient rites to ward off evil, keeping age-old superstitions alive amid the serene countryside. Visitors often feel the weight of the past pressing quietly on the village. Lantern-lit paths cast elongated shadows, and the wind seems to carry faint murmurs from homes long closed. Some claim to glimpse fleeting figures at the edge of vision, or hear whispers in the churchyards. Reminders that superstition here is more than folklore. It is a living presence. Sibiu is a place where the mundane and the mystical coexist, from its painted church walls to the darkened forest edges surrounding the village. Every corner seems to guard secrets of spirits and shadows. Approach with caution, for here, the past watches silently, and the next whispered legend may find you even before you seek it. Arefu, Romania, gateway to the Dracula legends. Nestled at the foot of the Carpathian Mountains, Arefu is a village that seems caught between reality and legend. Perched nearby, the imposing Poenari Castle, once home to Vlad the Impaler, casts its shadow over the valley, and locals insist that the air still hums with stories of dark deeds and restless spirits. The village itself is quiet, with narrow streets winding past modest homes and church spires, yet the atmosphere feels charged with centuries-old whispers. Visitors report an uncanny sensation when wandering Arefu's paths. The wind through the trees sounds like distant murmurs, and the mist rising from the river sometimes reveals fleeting shapes that vanish before they can be identified. Many villagers maintain traditions meant to guard against malevolent forces, keeping the local vampire folklore alive in ways that seem to reach beyond mere superstition. Arafu is more than a scenic mountain village. It is a threshold where history and legend intertwine. Every stone, every shadowed alley hints at tales left unfinished. Step carefully, for in this village, the past is never truly at rest, and the next glimpse of darkness may be closer than you expect. Malancrav, Romania, village of shadows and superstitions. Tucked deep in the heart of Transylvania, Malancrav is a village where superstition shapes the rhythm of daily life. Cobbled lanes wind past centuries-old houses, their wooden shutters weathered and darkened by time, while church spires rise above fields that seem to hold whispers of long-forgotten rites. Here, even the most ordinary places carry a weight, as locals maintain traditions designed to ward off evil forces believed to linger near graves and ancient landmarks. Visitors often sense a strange stillness in the air, a presence that seems to watch quietly from the edges of forests and courtyards. Some report seeing fleeting shadows along deserted paths, or hearing soft murmurs in the quiet of twilight. Every stone and weathered facade seems to hold a story, a warning from generations past. Malancrav is not merely a picturesque Transylvanian village, it is a place where history, legend, and superstition converge. Step carefully among its lanes, for even in the calm of daylight, the next shadow may reveal secrets that have waited for centuries to be discovered. Tallinn, Estonia echoes in the Old Town. Winding cobblestone streets, medieval towers, and centuries-old houses give Tallinn's Old Town an almost storybook charm. But beneath its quaint facades, whispers of the past linger. Locals speak of the Huick House and other historic buildings where unexplained phenomena are common. Flickering lights, cold drafts, and fleeting shadows that vanish when approached. Visitors often feel an invisible presence as they wander through narrow alleys, and footsteps sometimes echo from empty corridors, as if the walls themselves remember centuries of life and loss. Lanterns cast long, shifting shadows, and the quiet hum of the city at night can be punctuated by sudden, unexplainable noises. Tallinn is more than a medieval gem. It is a city alive with its history, where every corner hints at stories left untold. Venture carefully, for the next creaking door or whispered murmur may reveal a secret the Old Town has kept hidden for generations. Bruges, Belgium, shadows of the medieval city. Mist curls through Bruges' winding canals and cobblestone streets, where medieval buildings rise like silent sentinels over the quiet city. Among them, Chateau Miranda and other historic sites hold whispers of the past, stories of nuns, monks, and restless souls said to roam the halls when the moonlight casts long, eerie shadows. Visitors often notice flickering lights in empty rooms, sudden chills along deserted alleyways, and shadows that seem to move independently of any source. Even the city's serene canals can appear to murmur secrets reflecting more than just the moonlight. The historic charm masks an undercurrent of unease, as if centuries of devotion, sorrow, and mystery refuse to rest quietly beneath the stone facades. Bruges is not merely a fairy tale city. It is a place where history lingers in every archway and narrow passage. Step carefully through its streets, for one turn may reveal a secret that has waited centuries for someone bold enough to notice. Wolfsegg Castle, Germany. Shadows of betrayal. Hidden among dense forests in Bavaria, Wolfsegg Castle rises like a dark sentinel, its weathered stone walls whispering tales of betrayal and tragedy. Locals speak of the murdered wife whose spirit is said to roam certain wings, and of eerie footsteps echoing through corridors long abandoned. The castle's towers loom over the surrounding landscape, casting shadows that seem to shift with a life of their own. Visitors often report cold drafts in sunlit rooms, doors creaking open without cause, and fleeting glimpses of figures in the corner of their eyes. Even the gardens and courtyards carry a heavy, almost tangible sense of unease, as if the earth itself remembers the dark deeds once committed here. Wolfsegg Castle is not merely a relic of history, it is a place where sorrow and vengeance linger. Move carefully through its halls, for one wrong step might bring you closer to the next secret the castle has fiercely guarded through the centuries. Barry Pomeroy Castle, England. Echoes of the past. Rising from the rolling hills of Devon, Barry Pomeroy Castle stands in ruin, yet its stones hum with stories of sorrow and lingering spirits. Locals whisper of the White Lady, whose cries echo through empty chambers at night and shadowy figures glimpsed in windows long shuttered. The castle's ivy-clad walls and crumbling towers give it an eerie, timeless presence, as if the past refuses to release its grip. Visitors often sense an unseen gaze following them along the uneven pathways, while sudden chills and mysterious noises turn even bright afternoons into moments of unease. The once grand halls and hidden staircases seem to guard secrets of love, betrayal, and despair that stretch back centuries. Barry Pomeroy Castle is more than a historic ruin. It is a stage where history and haunting converge. Step lightly, for each archway and shadowed corridor may reveal a tale that has waited generations for a curious soul to uncover. Ancient Ram Inn, England, the Tavern of Shadows. Tucked away in the quiet village of Watton-under-Edge, the Ancient Ram Inn stands as a testament to centuries of secrets and dark whispers. Built in 1145, its timbered walls have witnessed generations of lives, tragedies, and tales that refuse to fade. Locals speak of restless spirits roaming the narrow corridors, eerie footsteps echoing in empty rooms, and chilling cries that pierce the night air. Visitors often feel a sudden drop in temperature, the sensation of unseen hands brushing past, and fleeting shadows gliding across corners where no one should be. The inn's ancient beams, low ceilings, and winding stairways seem almost alive, guarding memories of the past that linger like a stubborn fog. The Ancient Ram Inn is not merely a building, it is a living archive of hauntings. Step cautiously through its darkened halls, for one unheeded sound or flicker of movement could reveal the next secret that has remained hidden for centuries, waiting for the daring to notice. Huska Castle, Czech Republic. Gateway to darkness. Perched on a remote hill in the Czech countryside, Huska Castle is a Gothic fortress wrapped in shadow and legend. Built in the 13th century, it is said to conceal a gateway to hell beneath its foundations, and locals warn of restless spirits and demonic presences that roam its halls. The castle's steep towers and dark stone walls seem to defy the surrounding landscape, casting long, eerie shadows over the dense forests below. Visitors speak of chilling drafts, sudden temperature drops, and inexplicable noises that echo through empty chambers. Narrow staircases, hidden alcoves, and foreboding dungeons give the impression that the castle itself is alive, guarding secrets too terrifying to be spoken aloud. Huska Castle is not just a historic site, it is a threshold where fear and curiosity collide. Step carefully, for one glance into its shadowed corners may reveal a truth the living were never meant to witness, and the darkness may follow you long after you leave. Dargovs, Russia, the city of the dead. High in the remote mountains of Ossetia lies Dargovs, a necropolis whose stone crypts rise like silent sentinels against the sky. Known as the City of the Dead, this haunting site contains dozens of ancient tombs where generations were laid to rest, and locals still avoid the area, fearing curses that have been whispered for centuries. The crumbling stones, narrow passageways, and moss-covered walls evoke a sense of life paused, yet restless. Visitors describe a heavy stillness in the air, the echo of imagined footsteps between tombs, and an almost tangible presence watching from shadowed corners. Each crypt tells a story of lives long gone, secrets buried deep, and the weight of mortality pressing quietly on all who dare enter. Dargovs is more than a graveyard. It is a place where history, legend, and fear intertwine. Step carefully among the stones, for in this city of the dead, the line between the living and the departed feels thinner than anywhere else on Earth, and the silence itself seems to carry a warning that some mysteries are best left undisturbed. Europe's haunted towns are alive with whispers, shadows, and stories that refuse to fade. Which of these eerie places would you dare to explore when darkness falls? Subscribe and turn on notifications. More chilling legends, abandoned villages, and restless spirits are waiting just beyond the next corner.